This is Positano, the town that many consider the most beautiful along Italy's Amalfi Coast.
I needed to be here and see it all and to experience, because it's gorgeous.
It is breathtaking. I don't think pictures can ever capture what you see here.
This video is about Positano, but at the moment, I am not in that town. I had only a few hours in Positano, so I decided not to do all of the on-camera stuff there. When many people go to the Amalfi Coast, Positano is near the top of the list of towns they want to visit. Like all the other spots along the coast, it does possess an unmistakable beauty. Let's take a look. Gorgeous, breathtaking, stunning. The adjectives used to describe Positano all fall into that same category. It would be very demanding to find a town more picturesque than this anywhere in the world. There is one jaw-dropping scene after another as the sea, the hills, and the colorful structures combine to fit together perfectly. In an essay written in 1953, John Steinbeck said of Positano, "It is a dream place that isn't quite real when you are there, and becomes beckoningly real after you have gone." What this town is today might be a direct result of that quote and the essay which appeared in Harper's Bazaar. Until that time, it was a sleepy fishing village, naturally beautiful, but without much attention being paid to it from the outside. Fewer than 4,000 people call themselves residents of Positano today. During warmer months, 3 times more individuals than that visit the town every day. This place is just a little bigger than 3 square miles. The steep hills on which it sits make it appear that the buildings are giant stair steps descending from up high down to the Tyrrhenian Sea. Today it's as if Positano was created for the sole purpose of acting as a backdrop for social media images. The number of photographs and selfies taken each day is most certainly an astoundingly large quantity. I wonder how many people visit just to capture their content for posts, then move on to the next location. Honestly, I can understand, as I didn't find that the place offered much more than its visual spectacle. I will run through what I saw during an admittedly brief few hours in the town. The main beach is just to the right or east of the port when people arrive via ferry. It is called simply Spiaggia Grande, or Big Beach. There are longer stretches of beach on the Amalfi Coast and probably more comfortable places to spend the day lounging. Most of the seafront is consumed by private clubs where it is necessary to pay for the experience. There is a small section that costs nothing. Sometimes it's not easy to tell, but here there is no mistaking where the no-fee zone is. As along much of the coast in this part of Italy, the beach here is a mixture of sand and small stones. The crowd here was manageable in October. That is likely not the case during the main part of summer. When the majority of people arrive by ferry, they head right toward the main beach or go straight into the streets of the town. I decided to go left instead. That was a good choice, at least in my opinion. A path rises immediately from the water. That provides exceptional views of the port, as well as giving a different perspective of the houses and businesses of Positano. Along the way is TRC Tower. Dating to the 16th century, this is now a unique place to spend the night. There are additional businesses adjacent to the path and some natural areas as well. The destination here is for Nillo Beach. It is smaller and more secluded than the main beach that is right at the base of the town. When I went, there were far fewer people at this location. It was just as, if not more, attractive and inviting. If you're looking for a little more space while you lie in the sun, I'm told that this is the spot. You don't even have to go that far. It's only about 400 or 500 meters from the port where the ferries dock. The walk is only 10 or 15 minutes from the port to get here. If I was going to spend the day at the beach in Positano, this is where I would go. Although I am certain that there are even more secluded and harder to reach locations that could be even more appealing. Even if spending time on the sand and pebbles is not for you, it is possible to enjoy the seafront. There is a pleasant promenade just off of the beach. It is made for a short, slow stroll where the environment fills your senses. The sights, smells, and sounds are all captivating. There is no shortage of establishments where you can stop for a while to eat, drink, or do both. A focal point for the town is the Church of Santa Maria Asunta. It sits up the hill a bit from the sea. The structure, as it appears today, was finished in the late 18th century. The exterior is simple but elegant. Services were taking place when I visited, so I only got a peek at the inside. There is a small piazza in front of the church, which appears to be a popular gathering spot. There are a number of pieces of art on and near the square. It adds a great deal to the scene. I especially like this one, which is captioned "The Female Sculpture, Symbol of Freedom." Several others were also quite intriguing. Shopping seems to be one of the top activities for people who make a stop in Positano. There are countless shops dedicated to clothing, much of it for women. One item that I saw in numerous places were leather sandals for sale. That's a big thing here. Two other items, which are featured across much of the Amalfi Coast, were prominent as well. Stores where ceramics can be purchased were plentiful. The same was true for places that used the local lemons to make all sorts of products. If you venture away from the area right by the sea at all in Positano, you will be traversing steps. There is no escape from them.
A lot of steps.
So many of the steps.
Steps are simply a reality when a town is connected to hills that rise steeply from the water. These sets of stairs are in essence the streets of the town. I met up with my friend Nicole from South Carolina on the left and her friend Jen from New Jersey for a bit while in Positano. They were spending several days near the town and encountered the steps much more than me.
The views are incredible. It's gorgeous. It's totally worth it if you can do it.
It's worth it if you can do it. And just think of it this way, you burn the calories before you eat all
the pasta.
That perspective might provide just a little comfort when you're climbing the steps. I did manage to ascend to the upper reaches of the town during my brief visit. By doing so, I left behind many of the tourists in town for a day trip. Views of the town from below are striking, but they are just as, if not more impressive, from a higher vantage point. In the lower reaches of the town, there are very few vehicles. It's at the higher level, where the Amalfi Road passes through. Sometimes the narrow passage gets crowded with vehicles and pedestrians attempting to carve out a little space to move through. It was while I was up out of the main part of town that I grabbed some coffee. That happened at Grao Aero. It's a perfect time for this cappuccino. Of course, any time is good for coffee. But this is up the hill quite a bit, and it took literally hundreds of steps to get to this point. It's nice to sit and relax for a moment. The cappuccino was quite good, and I loved the look and feel of this small place. Those who worked here were incredibly friendly and made me feel right at home. A little later is when I met Nicole and Jen. We found a spot for a drink at one of the crowded bars right on the promenade. This is Buadacco. They had spritzers and I had a beer. My friend's take on Positano was similar to mine.
Positano is fantastic. I think one of my favorite things about it is its beauty and how everything is stacked upon stacked upon stacked.
That beauty draws so many people, and the town was just not built to accommodate them all.
As you can see, downtown Positano is
busy with
very
tourists.
busy.
The crowds can be overwhelming at times, and moving around can be slow going. Still, the experience of being in this gorgeous place is enough to make that tolerable for most.
It's a great place to come here, and just everyone's so happy to be in Italy and love it.
A bonus for me in visiting Positano was taking the ferry from Salerno and back. The ride was about an hour, and it gave me what amounted to a tour of much of the Amalfi coastline. From the water, it is easy to see what makes this one of the most popular places in the world for vacationers. There is one staggering scene after another. Going from place to place is hardly ever this enjoyable. On the ferry, if you are traveling from east to west, get a seat on the right side of the boat. Sit on the left if going west to east. It was nice exploring Positano for several hours. Because of its popularity, though, it can be very crowded, and it's going to be more pricey than some of the coast's other towns. Does that mean you shouldn't bother? I would never say that, as I'm sure for some people it is their favorite place on the Amalfi Coast. Take a day trip and see if it's for you. Thanks for being here on Old, Alone, and Far From Home. I will see you soon.